October 7, 1974, black students on Bus 91 from recently desegregated Destrehan High School were attacked by a mob led by the Ku Klux Klan and the White Citizens Council. A shot was heard and a white youth fell dead. Timothy Weber, 14 years old.
My name is Ernest Kojo. I was driving Bus 91. It was on a Monday. We were told to go up to Destrehan School. They were having problems up there. And when I got up there, we were told to get in and get a load. During the time I got in, I got my load and I was on my way out. We stayed that a shot was fired. The bus was stopped. The students were searched. During that time, it wasn't a gun or anything found on the bus. To me, it sounded like a firecracker. And with the years I have in the service, I can't see how a 45 can be shot so close that the wouldn't bust anybody's eardrums.
No member of the mob was searched, arrested, or questioned. The black students were forced to kneel on the ground for several hours and individually searched. Gary Tyler protested the harassment of his friends and was arrested.
We went on up to the substation. We stayed up there for about 2.5 hours, and there still wasn't any gun found.
That night, the police reported a gun was found on the bus, and 16-year-old Gary Tyler was charged with murder.
The attack on School Bus 91 climaxed a week of Klan-led riots at Destrehan High School. After Gary Tyler's arrest, David Duke, a leader of the Ku Klux Klan, flew to Destrehan from Boston, where he had been organizing anti-busing attacks on black school children. The parish officials and the press joined in to whip up lynch terror. Klan terror is nothing new to Destrehan. The Klan has been used for 100 years to terrorize black people and maintain the rule of the capitalist class. Klan terror is one way that the plantation system has been preserved around Destrehan and across the South since the Civil War. The Klan in white robes has always worked side by side with the black-robed judges and the police to deny black people their democratic rights, not only in the schools, but also in the courts. Gary Tyler was tried by an all-white jury rather than by a jury of his peers. The judge assisted the prosecution in every way. The state prosecutor had threatened one student with prison and forced her to lie and testify falsely against Tyler. When Gary Tyler was convicted and sentenced to death, it was the beginning of still another legal lynching.
So you see, the Tyler case is historic. It is the way America has always dealt with uppity niggers. It is the way this country has always treated non-white people who it couldn't smash and beat into submission.
The repression directed against black people has one purpose: to maintain the system of cheap labor started with slavery.
That we are here for one reason, the only reason they went to Africa and dragged us over here: cheap labor. To accumulate labor out of the sweat of men, all you had to do was feed like animals. And women too.
Cheap labor as slaves, cheap labor as sharecroppers, and today, cheap labor as part of a labor reserve for the capitalists. A large reserve of unemployed or part-time workers to fill the lowest paying jobs when there are jobs.
Why is black kids going to school and coming out of high school and can hardly read and write? They intend to keep black people ignorant in a period when it's necessary to have some skills and some knowledge. And therefore, they have made public schools concentration camps and detention camps, not centers of learning. That's America. That's bicentennial. And how do you separate that from the courtroom that lynches black people every day? And that's what's happening.
But where there is oppression, there is always resistance. The Afro-American people have waged militant struggle against the capitalist class from the earliest slave rebellions through the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s to the liberation struggle today. The struggle of black people for freedom is a direct blow at the imperialist system that profits off their sweat and off the sweat of all workers. The Klan and the legal system used against Gary Tyler is just part of the way the imperialists maintain their rule. They use the whole power of the state, the police, FBI, National Guard, and the Army to guarantee the safety of their profits and wealth. A movement to free Gary Tyler has grown up, born of the years of struggle of the Afro-American people. And like that struggle, the movement to free Gary Tyler must meet the imperialist system of exploitation and repression head on.
I'm Michael Williams, a student at Southern University in New Orleans. And we first heard about the Gary Tyler case from the media when it first happened. Students from Southern come out of the lowest socioeconomic strata in New Orleans. They all come from poor backgrounds. They all come from backgrounds where they can relate to the whole idea of police repression, to the whole idea of frame-ups, from the whole idea of being convicted only because you're black. And students from Southern just jump right on the whole idea of freeing Gary Tyler. Now, the first thing we did was we declared Gary Tyler Week at SUNO, which meant we dedicated an entire week of activities on campus to the legal defense of Gary Tyler. After that, we heard that there was a defense committee that was going to be created of different organizations to come together in a coalition to free Gary Tyler, and we felt that we wanted to be a part of the overall defense committee, and so we sent a representation to sit on the steering committee to represent Southern University in New Orleans, the students of Southern University in New Orleans.
In December of 1975, the New Orleans Workers Fightback Committee decided to take up the Gary Tyler case for a very simple reason. Mrs. Juanita Tyler, Gary Tyler's mother, came to a Fightback Committee meeting, and she told us of her son's incident, what happened to him, how he was railroaded, and so forth. We discussed Gary Tyler's case and how it tied in with the Fightback overall, and one of our main slogans is in oppression against national minorities and women, and this tied in directly with Gary Tyler's case. So, we had no choice. I'll put it this way, we were obliged to take up Gary Tyler's case if we're going to follow through what we believe in.
To spread the movement across the South, the Southern Conference Educational Fund, SCEF, called a meeting in Birmingham, Alabama. A Southwide coalition formed, adopted slogans, and called for a demonstration in downtown New Orleans. The National Fightback Organization and the October League sent work teams to help build the movement to free Gary Tyler. The work teams did education among black, white, and Latino people, pointing to the imperialist system as the source of oppression. They organized broad multinational support for Tyler by raising self-determination of the black nation, linking the struggle to the general working class movement.
Well, I work with the National Fightback Organization. I'm on the National Fightback staff, and we came down here as a part of a work team with folks from all over the country to help the people here in New Orleans, especially the New Orleans workers, fight back to build for the case and to try and build multinational unity. It's real important that we try and link up the case, especially bringing the education and the agitation here. We say that it's not just one city politician or government or judge like Marino up in Destrehan, but it's this whole system that we live under. And the whole system is in the North and the South. It's in the United States and South Africa. It's necessary to beat back these attacks and overthrow the system.
This is mainly a white working class community with a sprinkling of black and Latino people. And it's real poor. There's a lot of unemployed people, a lot of old people. And people work mostly in small industries. There's a few longshoremen, people from major industries. So we've been pointing that out to them and pointing it out as a basis of unity. We're fighting the same oppressor. Had a lot of response. I guess we've been out here about 8 times, and we've gotten about 300 signatures, sold about 60 or 70 calls, and given away hundreds of leaflets.
The work teams distributed leaflets and talked to people in black communities like Lafitte projects, where the youth particularly took up the struggle.
Brother Gary Tyler, we're trying to free him. We're going to have he gonna get free. We're going to have a demonstration downtown. On the 24th. Yeah. Saturday, City Hall. Yeah. How y'all going to be? Yeah! Yeah!
To link the Gary Tyler case with the day-to-day struggles of the working class, the work teams organized mass leafleting and rallies at the docks and plant gates.
Right now there's a coal strike going on in the Appalachia area. There's still the rubber strike, all kinds of other struggles for working class against the employers, against the capitalists. There's going to be many other demonstrations and many more things we have to do before we can fully liberate ourselves from the capitalists and overthrow the system that oppresses all working and people of color. A demonstration is just one form of struggle. It begins to teach people, begins to train people how to struggle. It's like a strike. It's a school struggle. It's a school for revolution. And that's where the October League is coming from. Inspiration for Gary Tyler will first come not just through mass demonstrations, but through protests, through strikes, through slowdowns, through picket lines, whatever form of mass struggle people can organize.
The Call, political newspaper of the October League, which carried many articles about the Gary Tyler case, was used broadly to link the struggle to free Gary Tyler with the fight against national oppression and exploitation. The Call pointed out the need to rely on the masses and not the courts. It served as an educator and organizer. In opposition to this revolutionary work in freeing Gary Tyler, Walter Collins and his allies in the so-called Socialist Workers' Party tried to limit the struggle by raising narrow demands, opposing militant mass action, and advocating reliance on the courts.
They wanted to keep Gary Tyler isolated, to say free Gary Tyler and that's it, not to try and link it with segregation. The October League and many other progressive organizations felt that the Gary Tyler case should be linked to other cases of national oppression, to economic crisis, to unemployment. I mean, it's the same system that puts people out on the street, that evicts people, that has high rent and low wages, high food prices, low wages. It's the same system that put Gary Tyler in jail. Now we felt all of this should be linked because if you want to have a broad demonstration, you have to show people that this is not an isolated incident.
The big success of the demonstration, July 24th, was proof of the enthusiasm of the masses for revolutionary demands and militant action. Buses rolled in from across the South. Black, Latino, and white workers assembled in Congo Square, once the site of slave auctions. Militant and united, the Southwide coalition filled the streets as they marched to the rally. We can't be stopped. We're steaming. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're steaming. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got them steaming. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're 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 steaming. We're hot. Speakers from many organizations showed the broad, united front of the struggle to free Gary Tyler.
We gonna kick, we gonna fight till we stand Gary Tyler's life. We gonna kick, we gonna fight till we stand Gary Tyler's life. Fight on!
And I hope that this rally will be successful and goes to show all the people that we mean business. And I hope that this would be a very successful rally. Thank you very much. This key go on to Destrehan, Louisiana, where we will go in and look for a wicked-hearted judge by the name of Judge Marino. We are going to take him and put him behind the bars of prison.
I'm trying to tell you today that we are 100% behind the Gary Tyler case.
The New Orleans Workers Fightback Committee and all Fightback committees across the country are here to support Gary Tyler. We said three things to free Gary Tyler. One is we must educate ourselves. Educate ourselves about the system which we live under, the capitalist system, which feeds off poor people and working people of this nation, that feeds off national oppression to make its own profit. Then we must organize. We must organize and demonstrate. We must organize and fight like hell. Fight with everything we got, because that's the only thing that's going to get Gary Tyler free. We also want to raise two demands, very important demands. The demand for self-determination of the black nation. We are a nation, and the black belt is our South. And the other demand is full democratic rights for black people. We've been denied them for years, and that's what we want to raise. Not just free Gary Tyler, there are millions of Gary Tylers every day, but full democratic rights for all black people and all national minorities.
Over 2,000 people marched down Canal Street. The Klan had promised to be there and stop the march, and like the cowards they are, never showed up.
The July 24th demonstration was a turning point for the movement.
A lot of people came out to free Gary Tyler. Other people came out because they were getting evicted out of their house. Other people came out because they had brothers and sisters in jail. Other people came out because they had been attacked by the Klan. So it's a matter of linking all these cases together to focus it at one particular enemy, the capitalists.
Following July 24th, a number of things happened. We began to attempt to organize ourselves along democratic lines, and we began to develop principles and goals around which we would unify. Our organization, Haitiana, which I'm a member of, became involved in the struggle to free Gary Tyler. We became involved as Pan-African nationalists, which we are. We believe that a struggle to save the life of one black person is a struggle actually to save the life of all black people.
To build a broad coalition to free Gary Tyler, struggle has been waged against opportunists like Collins and the SWP, as well as the revisionist Communist Party, USA, all of whom tried to limit the campaign to legalism and ride to glory on Gary Tyler's name. This is a struggle that must continue against representatives of the imperialists who masquerade as friends. Targeting the capitalist system as the cause of Gary Tyler's frame-up, committees around the country organized demonstrations, speaking tours, and petition campaigns. By October, nearly 100,000 people had signed petitions demanding freedom for Gary Tyler.
We presented those petitions as an indication to let them know that Gary Tyler is not alone, to let them know that we know who the enemy is, and we are organizing against them. When we went to Baton Rouge and presented those petitions, that became another step in making people aware of where the real power lies and where the real struggle and who the real struggle is with.
In the course of fighting to free Gary Tyler, the masses have been brought into the struggle against imperialism and national oppression.
With the Gary Tyler situation, we say that we will deal with the legal situation, but we will depend on building a people's movement. We will depend on people demonstrating, people joining together, just like we will depend in this strength on the people out here, the people who will come out and support the strikers. This is necessary. Legalism means that the Louisiana Supreme Court will uphold the conviction of Gary Tyler, who has obviously been framed. Legalism also means that the legislation will pass the Right to Work bill, which is a bill, as the sign, the slogan says, the right to work is the right to slave. That ain't what we're about.
So as far as what people can do, there's a lot people can do. I think they can, at this point, learn what capitalism is all about, what kind of system we have. Because if you're going to overthrow it, you got to know how you're going to overthrow it, what you're going to replace it with once it's overthrown, and what best methods to use to get people to understand why it needs to be overthrown. We have to be organized if we're going to go against the system. The system itself, the capitalists themselves, are very well organized. We need brothers and sisters that are committed to the struggle, that will eliminate the conditions that cause Gary Tyler, that will eliminate the conditions that cause segregation, that cause the Klan mentality. We need to smash not only the Klan, but white supremacy, what they stand for. And that can only be realized once the foundations of capitalism is brought down, once people violently overthrow the system of capitalism and establish a state where working people are in control.
International support has grown rapidly. Letters of support and newspaper articles have come from organizations in Germany, France, Ecuador, Chile, Colombia, the People's Republic of China, Belgium, Norway, Canada, and Iceland. In November, 300 Canadian supporters demonstrated outside the U.S. consulate in support of Gary Tyler. A demonstration in Norway demanded freedom for Gary Tyler. In the U.S., black community newspapers and magazines like the Louisiana Weekly, the Milwaukee Courier, and others have carried articles supporting freedom for Gary Tyler.
We're glad to announce that the struggle is more unified now than it ever was. We're glad to announce that the PDC, the People's Defense Coalition, and the Gary Tyler Defense Fund, headed by Mrs. Juanita Tyler, work hand in hand.
We are having rallies, and we are not stopping, and we are going on further as far as we could go to prove, to show that we are trying to get justice, not only for my son Gary, for many other poor people that have never really had a trial of justice in this country.
As demonstrations continue and the struggle spreads, the words of veteran black revolutionary and communist Odis Hyde are important to heed.
And so I'm convinced, after having seen some things and read a few things, that we will never stop the Gary Tylers. We may halt a few, but next week they'll have another one until we attack the citadels that rule this country, which is rooted in racism, greed, exploitation, and social injustice, and is damnable, it is parasitical, it must be destroyed, and it's up to you to do it.